This was the second comic book that I ever owned.
Chris Ryall surrounds himself with the things he loves, whether it's a ROM Space Knight helmet, an original panel from Locke and Key, or a rack of old newsprint comics he owned as a kid and that have a particular smell.
We always talk like, can we replicate that? Can we get the newsprint back and the the dot pattern coloring and all that? And I don't think people really want that anymore, but there is something that's just so thoroughly nostalgic that just brings you right back to your childhood. I love to be surrounded by the stuff that really just engaged me as a kid and the stuff that just kickstarted my love of this medium.
It's a medium that's gone from newsprint to digital, yet it's also still a business where walking the floor at a convention like Comic-Con can lead to hiring an artist.
It's keep an eye online and seeing what people are talking about and who people are engaged by, and walking around conventions, and there's so many people I found where I just go, that art style is beautiful. I mean, it's still very much a relationship business. You meet people and talk to them and just get engaged by their creativity, and then hopefully good things happen from there.
It's also about long-term relationships like the one IDW has had with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles co-creator Kevin Eastman, who still keeps a studio office in the IDW building.
It's fun just still engaging Kevin and seeing how excited Kevin is about doing new things, and so we've become the most prolific Turtles publisher in its history, which is really cool and exciting to us.
As publisher, president, and chief creative officer, Ryall is excited about what lies ahead for IDW as it enters its third decade. Top of the list at the moment is the IDW flagship property, Locke and Key, getting its own streaming show on Netflix. The show is based on a comic about a family that moves into an ancestral estate and discovers magical keys, one of which is a head key that literally opens your brain, which Ryall can identify with.
You look around this office and this is kind of like my own head key. You're living inside my brain right now, and it's a constant thrill. Like, comics have been a thing for my entire life, and I'm still really excited to be able to contribute to this industry that I love so much.
That love is helping fuel IDW's push to find new ways to reach and expand its audience, like with board games.
You sort of have the passive experience of reading the comics, and to then be able to engage with that story in a different way and play as the characters and sort of experience the world in a different way is a really fun thing.
Looking for new ways to engage an audience is what Ryall says distinguishes IDW.
We've long since accepted the fact that superhero content is sewn up very capably by Marvel and DC, and so rather than try to compete directly, we always wanted to be an alternative to that. So we did stories originally that were more horror-based or fantasy-based or science fiction-based that maybe hit an audience once they either aged out of superhero comics or wanted just something with a different flavor.
The company has had success with nonfiction graphic novels like March, Congressman John Lewis's insider view of the civil rights movement. Now IDW is partnering with the Smithsonian Institute.
We want to be more in that space too, doing stories that have topical relevancy and historical relevancy and telling these important stories that captivate a different kind of reader.
Wearing multiple hats, or maybe it's helmets, and facing constant deadlines can be stressful.
The deadlines and sort of the nature of doing periodical business is a thing that is constantly just on you and stressing you out, but at the end of it, we get to make these really fun, compelling comics that fans are engaged by with these really inventive creators, and then at the end of it, amidst all the stress and everything else, you go, this is maybe the best job there is.
Which brings us back to that kid reading Fantastic Four, who now has the ability to create comics that ignite the imaginations of a new generation of fans who may never know the smell of newsprint. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.